How did I get started in animation? Well, is everyone ready for this? There was this guy who I'd been at the London College of Printing with, who, when I went to the Royal College of Art, he ended up in the film school and I was in graphics. And he was over in the film school and he spotted that they had a really good Russian camera. And he kept on saying to me, why don't you come over and check out the Russian camera? And I said,
come and look at my rostrum camera, Emma.
I was so naive, but anyway. He did basically.
I've heard stories like this from Hallison Batchelor. Apparently the optical printer man was a dirty fellow.
But anyway, basically he kept on about the rostrum camera, and then, because that was in my head that you could do animation at the film school, when Bob Godfrey and Dick Taylor came in to do this little animation workshop, I was quite, I thought, oh yeah, that is a good idea. So I went to this animation workshop that Bob was running, and there were, I think, about 30 of us all together, that kind of illustration students, graphic students, and we all kind of worked on some ideas. Then Bob and Dick went away, and they left it up to the graphic design tutor to see everyone's work. And she was just a really miserable, I don't know what she was really miserable. She went around everyone's work and she said, oh no, you can't possibly do that animation, that's far too complicated, make it more simple. She was very, very negative about everyone's work. After about 4 weeks, everyone had dropped, they all dropped out, and it was only me left doing it. And she kept saying, oh, you can't draw, you're rubbish at drawing, why don't you do a different idea? Didn't like my idea at all. So I just disappeared, I just left the Royal College. I went up north, stayed with a friend, and my friend said, don't listen to that stupid teacher, just get on with it, what you're doing is really good, just go back and work on it. So I got back, when I got back to the studio at the Royal College, the whole of my table was covered in notes from Bob Godfrey. And they were Bob Godfrey drawing my character. It was my character, but had Bob's beard on it. It was where are you? I'm desperate. They won't pay me. I've got no one to teach, all over my desk. Shit, I've just got to get on with this film. So I started working on it, and I'd been given this stuff that in the old days you didn't have proper negative stock. You had this stuff, if you didn't have much money or there was no budget, you had this stuff called, it was like a sort of positive stock. Hugh knows all about it. Like colour reversal. And I shot a little test on that. And my friend, who was the student at the film school, said, this is brilliant, Emma, we're going to go and see the head of the film school, and I'll see if I can get you all the money from the whole of the workshop money that was supposed to go to all the students. Let's see if you can get the whole budget. And he persuaded the head of the film school to give me the whole budget. So that was basically, I could do it on negative and then get my film into festivals and stuff. So that actually was the way I started. And I'll show you that film in a while. So that film is called Ilkimore Bartat. But it was, that's how it happened.
Wonderful,
and I've
wonderful.
been doing it ever since.
When we were talking the other day, it was very interesting what you had to say about going through the 80s as an animator. And the reason I mention it is because for young animators today, it's very, very difficult, because it's very difficult to sell your work to television. It's quite difficult to get your work commissioned by television if it's a short or something, if it's not CBeebies. And it was very interesting to hear Emma's account of, making a career through the 80s and 90s until
until basically BBC closed all their animation departments down, and then Channel 4 closed all theirs down, and basically all the money for proper commissioning for short films dried up.
So would it be fair to say that The Queen's Monastery, the first film you're going to show, was a kind of the apex of things before the fall?
That was probably the best possible time in terms of getting, well, almost the best time, but it wasn't completely, because I think a little bit before, when we did The Kings of Siam, we got the whole we got like the whole budget from Channel 4, which was like about 84,000 to do a.
Sorry, I'm just gonna let those words ring in the air. 84,000. If I may point out nowadays, what's that East London?
It was 11 minutes the film though.
Yeah. It's just that nowadays you're meant to feel grateful if they give you £500 to go and make your film. Is it Ideas Tap that's geared towards 16 to 25-year-olds?
I don't know. I'm going to be
ridiculous.
administering some bursary that's £500 to make a film.
Oh.
Someone's asked me to
Right.
help the student.
I should watch what I say, but
I know, but it's terrible.
It's ridiculous. And I understand you had the luxury of spending 2 years making.
Well,
the
Kings of
Monster.
Siam, the one we got 84,000 for, we spent 7 years working on that film, but not. We spent about 2 years with the full budget, and we spent about, I suppose, 4 years previously we'd spent with no money, or a small amount of money, like a grant, like a £2,000 grant or something, and then, you know, we had to do other commercial work as well. But the Queen's Monastery I think it took 4 years to get the money, and it was about a year's preparation and a year and a half's animation.
Right.
So the year and a half was the time with the money, which was about 78,000 for 6 minutes.
Well, I let those words hang in the air again. 78,000. But so
we still made a loss though on both films.
No.
We actually were out of pocket by on the Kings of Siam about 11,000, and on my film about 7 or something.
Yeah.
Because we had to pay everyone else to work on it. Leslie worked on the Kings of Siam.
Oh.
She worked on it for how many years? 2 years?
2 years, yeah.
It's if I may say so, another world though. I mean, it's obviously we're out of pocket.
But we did pay ourselves whilst we were working on it, almost.
Yeah. Because that's almost unimaginable today, I think. So in the 2000s, how were the 2000s?
Well, we started off okay. We did quite a few commercials, so we did. You know, we were working with Passion Pictures.
When you say we, do you mean you and
Me
Jed?
and Jed. Although I didn't do actually much of the animation on those. Luckily, I was getting on with like my own stuff and having babies also.
Right.
So that kind of like, I just let Jed get on with the commercials, but it kept the studio going, and I'd been doing quite a bit of teaching. So the combination of me doing the teaching work and Jed working on some commercials kept the studio going at the beginning of the 2000s.
If you were in touch with Jed, I'd love it if you could pass on an invitation to say
No,
that
I'm
he's
sure
always
he'd love
welcome
to
to come and
come,
show
yeah.
work here. Incidentally, you may have met Jed. He came along to Vivian Hallis's event when she was talking about her father, John Hallis, and he actually told a story about how he looked after John Hallis shortly before he died. Hello. So as the 2000s moved on, did you sort of increasingly shift to digital? How did it work?
We wanted to do this series, and we started getting involved, and we thought we'd better get a computer, and someone gave us like some supposedly free licenses to use some software. It was what's turned out, you know, Toon Boom, or what's it called now? They have this thing called US Animation. It's like Animo. Has anyone heard of Animo? And it's like, well, we got a grant to buy some computer equipment, and then we got this software free, and we made a pilot for the series that we wanted to do, and we got money from media and stuff like that. But we actually never got the money for that pilot, which is a bit of a shame. But we invested in this computer equipment.
Does that mean that suddenly, rather than drawing and painting on paper, you're moving into actually drawing with a stylus?
We scanned in all the drawings at that point, and then they were converted to a vectorized line, a bit like Flash lines. It was the same principle, but it was prior to Flash. They were just developing Flash.
Oh, I see.
Time.
Okay.
So we did. Then we coloured it all in on the computer.
Right. Because Bunny, you had a sort of a move from, you know, conventional hand drawn to, you know, on paper to Flash. So it was kind of interesting to compare the work you did. Did you find it a jolt?
I only really did one film on Flash.
That was the music video.
Yes.
Which I really liked.
Yeah.
But
I haven't used it since.
Oh right. Oh okay. So that's a useless anecdote, isn't it?
I'd like to, but I just sort of hasn't been the right thing.
Oh,
Really.
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, I've used more sort of After Effects and that
Oh,
sort of
right,
thing,
right.
combinations
Oh,
of
okay.
things.
Oh, well, I've just
more
walked
than
up a
Flash, but
cul-de-sac.
No, no.